3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Welcome to Mission Control, Peralta Design's podcast on all things branding and digital marketing. Since 2008, Peralta Design has launched hundreds of brands with award-winning identities and websites. Join our hosts Ramon and Jorge as they use decades of combined experience to tackle topics with past clients, industry partners, and the rest of the PD crew. At Peralta Design, we launch brands. But for now, let's launch right into this episode of Mission Control.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mission Control, where we respect the grind and reclaim the American dream. I am your host, Ramon Peralta from Peralta Design, and we launch brands. Today we have some very special guests with us here. We have Senator Richard Blumenthal, along with the entire Connecticut congressional delegation, supported G&E's grant application to operate the Minority Business Development Agency, the MBDA Center. Senator Blumenthal has been a long-standing champion of minority business development and heavily advocated for the Minority Business Development Act of 2021, the MBDA Act. The MBDA Act expands and enables permanence of the agency's capacity to promote and administer programs. These programs will assist the development and resiliency of minority business enterprises. We are also joined by my esteemed colleague, mentor, and alpha brother, the president of the Greater New England Minority Supplier Development Council, Peter Hurst. Please help me welcome them both to Mission Control. So really, guys, you're actually on a podcast here. So this is amazing. This is just surreal. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Senator and Peter, to tell us and our listeners how this act came about and why is this grant so important to Connecticut.
I'll begin. Peter actually knows a lot more about this topic than I do, and you guys are alpha brothers, so I don't want to get in the middle.
We have a secret handshake, by the way.
Well, if I learn it, you'll have to kill me, right? This is amazing. That's the right word for it, because it's a combination of a great business success story. Ramon, you started in 2008 using severance from a job. You got fired from that job. You were devastated, and you turned lemon into lemonade. And here you have a really thriving business that creates brands for other businesses.
Right.
And you're helping to lead minority business development. And that's what this Minority Business Development Council Act is all about, trying to really create more minority businesses, enable them to have the technological capacity, the financial capacity, the managerial capacity. Peter Hurst has really been a leader nationally, and we're lucky to have him in this job. And I want to make sure that this program has really permanent status. It has a real footing in our laws, and it can be expanded because, remember, whether you're thinking about a minority business or not, it creates jobs. Minority businesses, in starting off, like all small businesses, create more jobs.
Absolutely. So, Peter, what's been your role with this, and how long has the process been before we actually got the act passed?
Well, we've actually been trying to get this grant for over 5 years.
Wow.
And this is really, force multiplier is a really great description, Senator, because we're able to provide these capacity building services and building business development services at no cost. And that's really important, because as you indicated, minority businesses really do make a difference in reducing the racial wealth gap in this community. They do 4 things, and Ramon and Peralta Design are great evidence of that. They generate economic output. They create and maintain jobs, especially with people of color. They generate tax revenue at the federal, state, and local level. And Ramon is the epitome of a servant leader in the community in which Peralta Design operates. And so I think that, supporting minority business is not just good for our country, it's good for our state, it's good for this city of Shelton. And we really want to thank you for all your support, not just for this grant, but for minority business in general.
I really think of minority business, as you've just said so well, as one of the pillars of our economy, because they address the need for more people to make it to the middle class. You know, the reason we have a democracy in this country is because we have a middle class. And right now it's threatened as never before. We need to create more small and medium-sized businesses so more people can get into the middle class, and most especially people of color, because they've been denied these opportunities for so long. So there's really a racial equity issue here in our society. And of course, it cuts across housing, policing, education, but business opportunity is a way to really enable more people to get in the middle class from communities of color.
And this racial wealth gap, just to follow up on your point, has a real cost. There's an estimate that over the next 4 or 5 years, it's going to cost the U.S. economy between $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. So anything we can do to make that number smaller, we should do it. And I got a very interesting statistic I want to share. One of my colleagues did a research study that said at the current rate of spending by corporate and private sector and public sector buyers, it's going to take 333 years to reduce the racial wealth gap. I don't have that much time. You don't have that much time. Ramon doesn't have that much time. So if we can
maybe Ramon does.
Yeah, maybe. So if we can get corporate America and the public sector, federal, state, and local level to increase their spending by 5 or 6 times from the current levels, we can reduce that time to equity from 333 years to 15 years. And I think we're committed to doing that. I know you are. And Ramon, by the work he does each and every day,
Absolutely.
is doing that.
Here's another reason why I think this program is important. And I know you know this, Ramon knows it, a lot of people don't. In this pandemic, small businesses have been especially challenged. Minority small businesses, even more so. The rates of failure among minority-owned businesses have been much higher than the general average. And frankly, let's be blunt, partly it's because they don't have access to the same credit. They don't have the same credit record that other businesses have. Why? Because they're new. So this kind of focus on minority business is really about racial equity, not just generally, but about small businesses. And I see it in the programs, the Paycheck Protection Program, the EIDL program, all those SBA, Small Business Administration programs, at least at the beginning, were favoring big corporations, big law firms. Unfortunately, it took us a while to recognize that we need to focus on minority-owned businesses, which we did, but still there are a lot of minority businesses that are struggling to stay afloat.
Well, they're the ones that needed the paycheck protection the most, and they weren't properly set up for it.
Exactly.
Whether it was not having access to capital or not being educated to know that, hey, instead of everyone being on 1099, they should be on W-2. All of these things that the typical businesses, small businesses, take for granted or learn from their parents or, received education on. The most vulnerable in our business community just were not set up properly, especially in the first wave. I think that in the second wave, we addressed that by, putting the loans in the smaller banks and making sure that those that were really vulnerable had a chance at it. But this program, people are thinking that we're going to have more pandemics and this is something that we're going to have to get used to. But preparing those minority businesses now for that next emergency, whatever it may be, is so important because they need to understand what to set up an LLC, to be on payroll, to what a 941 tax form is. And the MBDA can do that and help those businesses, those that are the most vulnerable. So I really just want to say thank you, Senator, for everything you've done in championing this cause and for being an ally, for really understanding and empathizing. I think empathy is something that we need a lot more of from our business community and from our politicians as well, our leaders in
Thank
Washington.
you, Ramon. Really honored to be with you to announce this $2 million grant. It is a force multiplier. It's the beginning. We need to do a lot more and more for all small businesses. and make sure that minority businesses get their fair share. So thanks to you and Peter Hurst for your leadership.
Thanks. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for being here, and thank you for fighting the good fight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Ramon.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.
Thank you for taking this journey with us. To learn more about Peralta Design and our work, go to www.peraltadesign.com and subscribe to keep up with the crew.